ich möchte gerne jetzt wirklich den Creative Director von Pink Floyd und die Eigentümer und Anfänger von HIPGNOSIS, Mr. Aubrey Powell, please, thank you.
We absolutely fought for recognition, not just in terms of our own work, but we fought to change, as part of the counterculture of the 1960s going into the 70s, the image of rock and roll. To us, it was boring, what came before, because mostly there were photographs of bands on the front cover, and a big piece of lettering announcing their names and announcing the title. And we were determined to change all that. And part of that process actually was a fight against the record companies, and what we called a fight against the man. The man, the suited record company executive, as you see in, for example, Wish You Were Here on the album cover on the inside, there's a picture of a guy with a bowler hat and a suit and his face is missing, and it's all about the insincerity of that. And we believed very much in what we were doing. Consequently, in that relationship, despite the fact that Storm and I were best friends, we were also quite volatile. And often, Hasselblad would fly across the studio because we would be arguing about composition, we'd be arguing about color, we'd be arguing about the content, we'd be arguing about all kinds of things. And when we bought Peter Christopherson, who you may know him from his band Throbbing Gristle and Coil. He joined us as an assistant in 1973 and became a full partner in HIPGNOSIS in 77. He acted as a foil between Storm and me. And that was amazing, because actually we needed that. And he was very instrumental, actually, in a lot of the look of some of these pictures, because he was very good in the darkroom, and he was very good at lighting. And Storm and I were both hopeless at lighting and hopeless in the darkroom. And when you see also some of these pictures, and we look at something like Dark Side of the Moon, for example, now that's not really the kind of style of thing that we did. When you see that, and you see that design, it's a graphic design, well, don't think that Storm and I did it, because we couldn't draw for anything. We were unable to draw. So we had to employ people to do that kind of thing for us. Graphic artists, George Harden drew that. So the studio itself, and as you saw in the film, we worked like an art factory. We worked very much like a kind of Andy Warhol sort of style factory. All the assistants could contribute. It was we were the bosses, but nevertheless, everybody had a say. If somebody had an idea, they could put in their piece. And we accepted that, and we liked that. We liked working like that. Sometimes we didn't. Sometimes we said, sorry, we're not interested in that idea. But we were always open to ideas. But the main ideas came from the pair of us. Storm particularly, in my mind, was a genius. He was such a genius that I would almost say he suffered slightly from Asperger's. He was absolutely a man who thought totally laterally about everything. He was socially inept. He was very difficult at dealing with people, and many of the clients we had in HIPGNOSIS would not work with him. Paul McCartney wouldn't have him in his office. Jimmy Page refused to discuss anything with him. It just was, he was confrontational. I remember sitting in Paul McCartney's sitting room when he criticised Linda McCartney and called her a lousy photographer. Needless to say, we would show him the door, and didn't work for Paul for a couple of years. But I want to tell a little anecdote before you ask some questions about the film. And this gives a classic example of how Storm would behave. In England, in English, we have a word called racket. And racket is two meanings. One is a tennis racket, and the other word for racket is a lot of noise. The kids are making a racket. Means you make a lot of noise. And I always remember we were asked by Led Zeppelin to come up with an album cover for them, for Physical Graffiti. And on my way to the meeting, Storm hastily shoved another idea under my arm. which always made me nervous. I thought, oh, what's he doing now? We got to the meeting, and I laid all the ideas around the room. And Jimmy Page looked at the ideas, and then he said, what's this? And it was a picture of a tennis racket on some grass. And I thought, what's Storm up to now? And he turned around to Storm and he said, what's that? And Storm said, what do you think it is, Jimmy? He said, well, it's a racket. And Storm said, you got it. And Jimmy said, are you inferring that Led Zeppelin make a racket? He said, yeah, you got it. We were showing the door and we didn't work for them for 2 years either. So this would be typical Storm. He never understood that somebody might be offended by that or offensive. But at the same time, the man was a genius. And I would say that in hypnosis, I would give him credit for at least 60% of the ideas that came out of the studio. I did most of the photography because he stayed at home taking care of his son. He was left with a young boy who was 18 months old, and he took care of that boy all his life. And it restricted him in going away and photographing things, so it was left to me to do that. So the way we worked really was the fact that he would come up with a lot of ideas. There would be group meetings, but a lot of them came from him. And then I would go and realize those ideas. And you've got to think here, when you look at these pictures and that film, in those days there weren't mobile phones, there wasn't communication like we have now. Consequently, I would be off around the world maybe 200 days a year shooting pictures for hypnosis. And, you know, it would be payphones in the middle of the Arizona desert with me saying to Storm, well, what do you think, man? You know, we've got these balls in the desert, or we've got this diver, and it's kind of this and that. And he'd be saying, yes, man, but, you know, so the communication always was very vague. And the trust between us was amazing. There was absolutely that synergy. And I was very sad when he died 5 years ago, because it actually meant that it was a great loss to the world of surrealist art. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough for me having a little chat about hypnosis.